everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My channel is called Video Creation Tips for Entrepreneurs and Others, and my name is Mike LaValle. I'm the owner and CEO of Triple M Video Productions out of St. Petersburg, Florida. I have over 20 years of television experience. I've written, produced, and directed. What we do on this channel is we give video creation tips to turn do-it-yourself videos into more professional-looking ones. So if you like what you see here, by all means, drop us a like, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask them down in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And if you are on your phone, please make sure to go into settings and make sure to turn on YouTube notifications so that you don't miss any of our weekly content. So last week, we did part 1 of camera height, where you should set your camera when you're shooting talent. And the answer to that part 1 was you should always shoot your talent at eye level. It's easier for them and it just looks the most professional. And then we talked about why you wouldn't want to shoot down on someone, why you wouldn't want to shoot up at someone. But on this part 2 this week, what we're going to talk about is there are times where shooting down on someone and shooting up at someone is actually acceptable. And we're going to talk about that in this part 2 this week. Okay, so when is it acceptable to shoot up at someone or shoot down on someone? Well, it has to have a purpose. It has to have a reason for you shooting the person, the talent, in that way. If you do it for no reason at all, then it just doesn't make sense, and there's no reason to do it. If you're shooting down on somebody and there's just no reason to shoot down at this, like for instance, this woman, then why do it that way? It doesn't make any sense. But suppose, you are shooting down at this woman because what you're talking about, the subject, isn't really the talent, but the coffee. Maybe you're making maybe you're doing a commercial about why you like that coffee so much. Maybe you're just making a video about that coffee for whatever reason. That would be a reason to shoot down here because you need to see the coffee, and the person that's in the shot holding the coffee is not the significant part of this shot. Now, the same thing goes for when you are shooting up at somebody. If you're shooting up at somebody and there just doesn't seem to be a reason for it, then it's a bad shot, guys. It's just a bad shot. Don't do it. There's just no reason to do it. But suppose you're shooting up at this person because she's going to scale a rock wall or any cliff face really, and you're getting this shot to show that she's going to be climbing up, and in this case, she's kind of somebody you're admiring for taking on this task. So you would shoot up at her to make her look more authoritative, more like a person of power, somebody you're looking up to. So these are all good reasons why this particular shot, shooting up at this girl, makes all the sense in the world. Now, other ways, or other reasons I should say, as to why you would shoot down or up at somebody is status. That's really what it's going to end up being, most of the time when you're shooting up or down at somebody. If you're shooting down at them, it's because in some way that person is an insubordinate. And if you're shooting up at them, in some ways it's because you're thinking of them as a superior. A perfect example of what I'm talking about is parents. Take a look at this shot. You don't really see the baby because the baby is in the carrier, but you do see the parents. So you would take this shot shooting up at the parents because you're trying to, show it from the eyes of the baby, how the baby perceives this world at the moment, where their parents are gods. They're their whole world. So you would take this shot shooting up at the parents because they are the superior in this particular case, for lack of a better word. But again, if you think of it from the baby's point of view, these parents are all the baby knows, so it's their world, so you would shoot up at them. In this particular case, that makes all the sense in the world. Or you could think of this in the complete opposite context, whereas you want to take the shot as the parents. So you would shoot down on the child, because as the parent, you are the authority figure, so you would be higher, and you would, but of course this is the shot of the child, so you would shoot down toward the child, this very happy child. Not that you think of your children as insubordinates, but you are in charge. So in this particular case, this shot makes sense because the parent who's looking down is the one who has more authority. So this shot just makes sense that you would take it shooting down at the child, whereas if you're the child's point of view, you would look up towards the parents. So that's our tip for this week, camera height part 2. Remember what we talked about last week. The link will be at the end of this video, where in part 1 we talked about keeping your camera at eye level of your talent because you want them to think of you and you want to think of them as your equals. And then in part 2, today we discussed when and why you would shoot down at somebody or up at somebody and why that's important. So I hope you enjoyed your tip for this week. We will be back next week with yet another tip. Until then, I am Mike LaValle from Triple M Video Productions, and I will see you soon.